Shabbat, the day of rest and celebration that begins on Friday at sundown and concludes the following evening at nightfall, has long been a traditional keystone of Jewish life. According to the Hebrew Bible, God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. Shabbat being a day for people to rest, remember, and observe, symbolizing a break from the other days of the week, remains a central aspect of contemporary Jewish life for many Jews. The 39 forms of work are the categories of activity which Jewish law identifies as being prohibited on Shabbat, some of which may include writing, carrying objects in certain places, driving a car, planning for after Shabbat, or using electricity. While many Jews do follow these Sabbath guidelines, others do not. People outside the Jewish community and many from within may expect Shabbat to embrace certain conventions, including lighting Shabbat candles and blessings for the candles, bread, and wine, as it is often presented in areas of pop culture, such as movies or television shows.
May the Lord protect and defend you. May He always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Israel a shining name.
Today, many Jews find themselves expressing their Jewish identity in relation to many other forms of identity, such as family, school, gender, or sexuality. In this moment where people are employing multiple forms of identity, Jewish identity is also being expressed in a myriad of ways, including whether Jews are opting to attend synagogue, spend time with Jewish friends, or belong to Jewish organizations. Practicing Judaism in a time of unlimited choice is evident in the ways that people are choosing to celebrate Shabbat. While many Jews still do observe Shabbat in the more traditional manner, people are also opting for different routes, thus honoring this day of rest in unconventional ways. These rituals may include going for a hike, looking through old photo albums, or making a playlist of your favorite music. Today, the avenue to Shabbat looks different for each person.
I make challah every Friday, so I got into that at the start of quarantine. I like to think that I've gotten pretty good at it. And I've even actually started baking for other people, so they'll place an order with me, and instead of paying me for the challah, they'll donate money to an organization, preferably Mazon, which is a Jewish response to hunger. So I like to do that because it allows me to sort of get my challah out to other people and have them enjoy it, but also I don't really need the money. I'd rather the money go to a good cause like Mazon. So that's really nice for me to be able to, do something good, put my baking skills to good use and make positive change.
I don't use my phone, and it's the greatest thing ever in my life. I don't answer my phone. I don't look at my phone. I actually physically don't touch my phone. It's off, and it's so amazing. It's the greatest thing in terms of mental health, in terms of emotional, spiritual health, and it's really great. I also sometimes enjoy taking walks, going to classes or lectures where people are speaking or having discussions about Torah and other Jewish ideas. I also love spending time with my family, who are also not on their phone and also can't leave because we don't drive in a car on Shabbat. So no one can actually leave or go anywhere. So if you go to someone's house for the weekend, you're all together the whole time looking at each other. We don't watch TV. We don't look at the phones.
I have worked as a chazan, somebody who leads prayer and song in a synagogue for the past 20-something years. So many Friday nights for Shabbat, I have to leave home because I have to go to work. And I often say being a professional Jew has its downside, which is I don't get to settle into Shabbat with my family until I get home from synagogue. I have a special song that I wrote for Shabbat. It's actually a part of the Kiddush blessing, where we're blessing the wine at the very end of our Friday night service. The words come from that, and they come directly from the Torah, and it's about keeping Shabbat holy and separate. So this is the song, Vayechulu. that I wrote for Shabbat. God bless the seventh day and sanctified all he made, for after the work there is rest. The world complete from toil, resplendent all the heavens and the earth. And God made the world today and helps us in every way. And after the work there is rest and time just to be alive, be alive, be alive, and know ourselves as good.
I do consider myself to have my own secular way of observing Shabbat. That is by doing some relaxing activities that I wouldn't normally have the time to do during the work week. So for me, this usually involves working on a puzzle or watching a movie with my family and just relaxing with my dogs, especially in the winter by the fire. That is one of my favorite things to do.
One thing that I do that I've started doing pretty recently on Shabbat is I don't do any work. That's not to say that I necessarily don't use technology, but on Shabbat, on Saturdays, I don't check my school email. I don't do work. I use that day to focus on things that make me happy, things that bring me joy. And my family started doing that probably 2 or 3 years ago. We all just took a step back and we were like, what if we just unplugged our work brains for a day? And it really made the day more meaningful. It made the day much more enjoyable. And it did give us more of a reason to look forward to Shabbat.
In the last year and a half, we have begun having Shabbat on FaceTime with our daughter who lives in Half Moon Bay in California. I've had to give up the idea of lighting the candles before sunset because we do it when she is available. And sometimes that means 6 o'clock for her and 9 or even 10 o'clock for us. But what's important that we observe Shabbat together each week. So each week we FaceTime each other, we light the candles. My husband is a practicing Buddhist. I am an aspiring Buddhist. So we bring some Buddhist practice into our Shabbat rituals and celebration. So after lighting the candles, we send out the light and our intentions for the end of suffering to all beings. We also send out a Misha Berach, a prayer for healing for anyone we know in need of that, and then of course for all the millions of people who are in need around the world that we don't know. We also include the ritual of symbolically washing our hands as we move from the profane into the sacred time of Shabbat, and we bless the wine, and of course we have the challah, which symbolizes everything that the earth provides for us. When I felt better and the weather was better, we made it a point to go outside and look at nature. Number one, it's uplifting, and number two, it very much makes us me aware of my place in the world. It's much smaller than I might think when I walk around in my everyday life, feeling powerful and knowing and all that stuff. But there's nothing like standing outside and looking at the myriad shades of green and the trees and the grasses and the flowers, or the snow, and just what's left of the seeds that the birds are eating.
Despite the various ways that Jews practice Shabbat, it is clear that many people are still choosing to observe this day in some capacity each week. While for many, the mediums through which Shabbat is celebrated may appear to be breaking from past tradition, the core principle of what Shabbat means, to refrain from work and symbolize a clear separation from the other days of the week, remains present and connects Jews, even if this meaning is illustrated in more than one manner.
What's really important to me and what creates meaning in my life is living in the moment. On Shabbat, you're not supposed to shell pistachio nuts and save those pistachios for Tuesday, right? You're not supposed to do that. You are allowed to shell a pistachio nut and eat it right away. This idea is not living for the moment and always trying to be somewhere. It's living in the moment. It's enjoying what you have. 6 days, we're commanded to work. We must go out into the world and change it and fix it and create society. But for one day, we must sit back. We must stop. It's mentally healthy, physically healthy, spiritually healthy, and it also gives us perspective.
For me, Shabbat just means a moment to sort of sit down and think about, being conscious that I'm a Jew and being proud of it, and taking a couple hours out of my weekend to just breathe and be with my family and not rush off to any plans or be distracted by anything other than just being present in the moment. I know there's a lot of people who I'm friends with of other religions who don't do anything on a weekly basis, and for me it's just nice to sort of have some anchor point every Friday that I know, it's time to observe Shabbat, it's time to take a deep breath, settle down, and just think about who I am and who we are as a Jewish people.
What Shabbat means to me as a whole is a time set aside for mindfulness, to reflect on the past week, and to clear my head and be ready for the next week and be able to be my best self.
For me, Shabbat is a time of rest and renewal and restoration and a pause from the busyness of life. I think we call it Judaism's fantastic invention that we should have this day to reflect and rest and renew. And I hope I will continue doing this for the rest of my life.
Shabbat in general, for me, means something that brings people together, and in more ways than just like people getting together for dinner. I think that one thing that it does is it gives people an excuse to be together. It gives people an excuse to not focus on anything. It gives people a reason to like unplug and gives justification for it. So a lot of people don't get that. And even in other religions, they have their holy day, they have their thing. But because certain things in Judaism are such a large spectrum, I think it's really beautiful being able to see how other people Shabbat and how, like, my Shabbat will look very different than someone else's Shabbat. And that's okay. And that's beautiful and wonderful. So Shabbat is just a thing that brings not only my family together, my friends together, but it's this universal Jewish thing that, well, we all might do it a little bit different. We all might act a little bit different. And we all might observe a little bit different. It brings us all together.
In all of Jewish holidays, there's a cycle of Jewish holidays, and each is so distinct in its flavor, in its texture, in its sound, the sound of the liturgy, the tastes of the foods. It's such a symbolic religion, and you really learn it by living it. And that way, as you grow up with whatever your observance, whatever your practice, even if it's whatever simplicity, it evolves through time to take on more meaning and more memories, and its significance to you grows. And that's my wish for anyone in this life, to have a beautiful sense of what one's heritage, and have it be a light that can sustain you in more difficult times. So there's lots of songs, there's lots of traditions, layers upon layers upon layers. There's something for everyone of every age at every moment to be plugging into. And so for that reason, when we do Shabbat, it's for everyone.
The multiple avenues through which Shabbat is observed in contemporary Jewish life demonstrate the diversity in how people are opting to express Jewish identity during a time of unlimited choice. The core Shabbat principle that ties Jews together remains, however, and this can be brought into the overall contemporary Jewish landscape. Shabbat illustrates that there are foundational elements of Judaism that still connect Jews to each other in the current moment, even if these Judaic practices are expressed differently.